there, and welcome to my channel, Boundless Books. So today I'm here to talk to you guys about something that I think is pretty exciting, and that is a few books that were sent to me for review. So I'm going to split this video into two parts. At the beginning of the video, I'm going to talk about two books that I have finished reading. They're already out on shelves, so I'm going to give you guys my full review of them. And then in the second half of this video, I'm going to talk about two books that aren't out yet, so I can't give you all the details, but I will give you a little teaser synopsis, so hopefully it'll whet your appetite to go pick those up when they are out. The first book that I would like to talk about is a historical fiction novel, and it is called Didos Crown by Julie K. Rose. The author reached out to me to see if I was interested in reading this book, and I said yes, because I really haven't read a good historical fiction novel recently, and it's always a pleasure to get my hands on one. The novel is set in Tunisia in 1935, right before the onset of World War II, and it follows a cast of British characters who are linked together by events from their past. At the beginning of the novel, we meet Tom and Will, who are ostensibly rare booksellers who are in Tunisia with the hopes of intercepting a mysterious package. We also meet Mary McPherson, who is the disenchanted wife of a British professor who is also in Tunisia on an errand for her husband to intercept the same package that Will and Tom are after. The three characters cross paths and are thrown into a world filled with Nazis, spies, and secret codes. My favorite aspect of this novel by far was all of the really lush detail that the author provided. And I really appreciated that at the back of the novel, she provided a note where she goes into a lot of the political details of what was happening in Tunisia in the 1930s. Because if you're like me, that's not really a time period and a location that I know much about. So I very much appreciated getting that little rundown in the back. The author also does an incredibly good job of keeping you engaged throughout the entire novel. I think it's really easy for historical novels to feel a little bit dry when they are so packed full of information, but I never found that to be the case with this book. The author introduces this mysterious package in the beginning and then does such a good job of keeping you engaged to figure out what is it throughout the entire novel. So overall, I would definitely give this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It fulfills my checklist of things that historical fiction books must have. Lots of detail that I find really engaging, good characters, and I don't know what the last point is that I'm leading towards. Great historical details, engaging characters, and an awesome plot. So I would definitely recommend going and picking this book up. And I like this book so much that I'm really interested in going to find out other books that this author has written because her writing style is just lovely. So yeah, I'm really happy I read this. So the next book that I want to talk about is a novel that I actually mentioned a few videos back, and that is The Wizard's Forge by A.M. Justice. You guys will remember that I called out this author for having a badass name, and she actually commented on one of my videos, and that's her real name. I'm so excited. This novel has a really cool premise. It is a sci-fi fantasy mix, which I always get very excited about, but I'm also semi-hesitant to start reading because it could be awesome or a hot mess. The novel takes place on a planet that is inhabited by the descendants of Earth, and it follows a young woman named Victoria, who is a historian within her village, something that they call a log keeper. At the beginning of the novel, Victoria is captured and enslaved by the Rem Lord, who is setting out to conquer and enslave neighboring civilizations. Vic is placed in the Rem Lord's house where she suffers both physical and psychological abuse. So, warning, this is definitely not a young adult novel. This is 100% an adult novel, and some of the content in the beginning is graphic, but I think very needed for the development of the character. Eventually, Vic does escape and makes a life for herself amongst the people of Latha, where she is welcomed by the royal family and remakes herself as a warrior called the Blade. An interesting aspect of the novel is the tension that we see between science and mysticism. Vic, as a log keeper, really believes in the myth that her people came on this giant ship from another planet, while she encounters a lot of people who still believe in gods and magic and the mythical. While I love the concept of this book, one aspect of it that I struggled with a little bit was the pacing. I thought the pacing at the beginning of the novel was excellent. The author went into a lot of details about what Vic was thinking, the psychological torment that she went through as a captive, and I was very engaged initially. Then there was a huge jump in time, and I kind of lost a bit of interest. The author really skimmed over the whole section of time when Vic was remaking herself as a warrior. I like traditional Bildungsroman stories that kind of go into that coming of age and developing skills, so to see that glossed over in a few chapters was a little disappointing for me. I also found myself a little confused about some of the secondary characters who just appeared out of nowhere, and I had to figure out like who they were and why I should care about them and their relationship to the main character. So overall, I would give this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It does end on a cliffhanger, and I'm very interested to see where the book ends up going. And I love the characters of both Vic and Ashel, who I really didn't mention too much in this review, but he is a core character in the novel. And I'm very intrigued to see where their relationship goes in the next book in the series. Now on to part 2 of this video, where I talk about 2 books that are not out yet. Both of these books will be coming out in January of 2017, so I can't give you guys my full review and rating of them yet. However, I'm going to give you guys a teaser description of them to get you excited about them. The first book that I want to talk about is The Bear and the Nightingale by Katherine Arden. I really wanted to get my hands on this novel because the description reminds me so much of Uprooted by Naomi Novik, and I loved that book. Peter is a minor noble who lives on the edge of the wilderness, where life is ruled by superstition and a belief in the old gods. However, Peter's life is very much changed when his wife gives birth to an uncanny and unruly daughter named Vasya. As Vasya grows, it's very clear that she is a daughter of the old world. And as her village is invaded by new Christian ideas, she watches as the old gods fade and things turn disastrous. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I love books that are inspired by fairy tales. I just think that they're really charming, and I especially love it when they're inspired by fairy tales that I don't know too much about, so I get to learn a little bit about another culture. So I'm pretty excited to talk to you guys about this book when I can reveal my full rating. And then the last book that I want to talk about is The Alchemist of Loom by Elise Kova. I read Elise Kova's Air Awakens series and I absolutely loved it, so I really wish I could give you guys my full rating of this book. This book has so much going on. It has steampunk, it has sci-fi, and it has chimeras, so just a very cool plot in general. The novel follows a chimera named Ari, and she is of the Fen3 people who live on the planet of Loom. However, her planet is being ruled by these creatures with magic in their blood called dragons. The dragons live on a land that floats above Loom called Nova. Ari is bent on destroying the dragons, who have civilized her people and forced them into a very rigid guild structure. Ari, however, finds herself the unlikely ally of an incompetent dragon when he comes to Loom, ostensibly to help with the Fen3 rebel cause. The world building in this novel is so good, and like everything Elise Kova writes, the characters just really jump off the page. The novel does switch perspectives between a couple of the characters, so it's really great to get to know them through the course of the novel. Once this novel is out, I will be following up this video with my full review, and I can't wait to talk to you guys about it. So those are all the books. Definitely be sure to keep your eyes peeled for my future reviews of these novels. And if you haven't done so already, definitely make sure to subscribe to my channel so you can stay up to date with all of my latest content. You can also follow me on Goodreads, where I'm fairly good about posting what I'm currently reading and rating those books. Until next time, my name is Laura, and thank you guys so much for watching. Bye! At the beginning of the novel, I look really happy about the fact she's getting captured. At the beginning of the novel, she's captured is great.